Sin City, City of Lights, oasis in the desert, entertainment capital of the world, marriage capital of the world, divorce capital of the world. It's been called a Disneyland for adults, a monument to the age of capitalism. It is one true world cosmopolis, a study of contrasts. In a city full of gamblers, grifters, pimps, and hustlers, it also has more churches per capita than any place on the planet. I am talking, of course, about fabulous Las Vegas. To the world over, one word conjures dreams of fortune and glory that turn into a reality on the flip of a card. Vegas. The first encounter was 1829, then John C. Fremont's exploratory party a couple of decades later. The Mormons in 1855. From its very start, the land had a history of attracting outsiders who sought solace and relief in the isolation of a mountain-caged desert. Founded as a city in 1905 along the Union Pacific Railroad, the city might have forever remained a sleepy and dusty little stopover on the way to California had fate not intervened in the form of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's decision to make the Black Canyon on the Colorado River, bordering Nevada and Arizona, the site of the Hoover Dam, an engineering marvel that opened up the water-thirsty southwestern part of the United States for mass settlement. Not only did the Hoover Dam project provide a source of water for southern Nevada, it also allowed for air conditioning. This made a region of the country which was previously uninhabitable for several months a year a place where people could survive the scorching heat in the relative comfort of their homes and vehicles they used for transportation. By the time the Second World War ended, Hoover Dam was providing the electricity to support an emerging city's infrastructure. With the country in a celebratory mood after Germany and Japan were defeated in 1945, moral and cultural inhibitions of the nation were loosening. All the city needed was a push to expand into a getaway for the newly prosperous jet-set crowd. As the hydroelectric power plants gave the city its electrical juice, an important figure conspired to use his own personal, political, and business juice to consolidate the crime syndicate under one roof. This man's name was Meyer Lansky. The story of Las Vegas becoming the gambling mecca of the world begins with Meyer Lansky. Born Meyer Sechelowski to Jewish parents on the 4th of July, 1902, in the land of present-day Belarus. Whenever asked, Meyer, who had Americanized his name when his family immigrated to New York to Lansky in order to escape the terrible pogroms against the Jewish people in the 19th century Russian Empire, he would say that he was of Polish descent. Arriving in New York in 1911, the city was crowded with new immigrants competing for any kind of work that would be a ticket out of the squalid conditions of the slum district. New York was a Darwinian breeding ground for the shadowy underworld characters who would use cunningness, treachery, and violence to dominate many industries. Contrary to the way crime syndicates have often been portrayed in popular culture, these organizations were enmeshed not only with the corrupt elements of society, but also with the legitimate world of business and politics. When alcohol was made illegal by the Volstead Act, an amendment to the Constitution, the crime syndicates, or by their polite euphemism, families, became de facto pharmaceutical companies with a monopoly on America's most popular drug, alcohol. Distribution networks were established all around the country, and behind this mammoth undertaking was Lansky, a criminal mind seemingly possessed of a preternatural instinct for the efficient organizational skills needed to make all the operational pieces work in synergy. Lansky would act in the capacity of CEO of a conglomerate corporation, as well as a liaison for international dealings over 40 years, the 1920s through the 1960s. Although he seldom set foot in the desert, Las Vegas was established as corporate headquarters for all illicit activities, laundering the illegal proceeds through the gambling casinos. An astute student of history and human nature, he was especially fond of drawing inspiration from Napoleon Bonaparte, another man short of stature but long in political ambitions. Lansky famously said, "There's no such thing as a lucky gambler. There are just winners and losers. The winners are those who control the game. All the rest are suckers. The only man who wins is the boss." From the book, The Money and the Power, he adopted another grander axiom as well, that crime and corruption were no mere byproducts of the economics and politics of his adopted country, but rather a cornerstone. That understanding tilted the odds in his favor. Together with his childhood friend, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, who became the ill-fated frontman for the glorious early days, Lansky got his start under the tutelage of Arnold Rothstein, the most famous gambler and bookmaker in early 20th century America. The writer F. Scott Fitzgerald took inspiration from the legendary gambler when he created the unseemly associate of Gatsby, Meyer Wolfsheim. In the great American novel, The Great Gatsby, Rothstein exposed the corrupt underbelly of a naive America when he fixed the 1919 Baseball World Series, still the greatest scandal in sports of all time. Another close associate of Lansky was the Italian mafioso boss, Charles Lucky Luciano. The Italian mafia had a stranglehold on gambling operations throughout the cities of America since the First World War's end. Luciano doled out responsibilities to his subordinates with all the authority of a feudal baron. The tentacles of organized crime went deep into America's Justice Department. Using blackmail and extortion, the crime syndicate was in bed with J. Edgar Hoover, head of the FBI, in what people speak of with conspiratorial overtones as the Deep State. Even the OSS, predecessor to the CIA, would develop an important relationship with Lansky and his associates, as we shall see later.